I've first heard of you guys from A Quiet Place, like most people. I didn't realize you'd been directing movies for about 12 years before that. So I thought Haunt was your first movie as directors, and then I realized later that, oh no, I'm completely wrong. You've been directing for a long time.
Yeah,
Well,
well, a
a
lot
lot
of
of those
those.
were like us as children
Yeah.
in high school directing feature films that cost like $50. So I don't know if that counts as
Yeah.
directing, but
We were able to get our movies on IMDb at a very early age.
yeah, and have regretted it ever since.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, boy, yeah, you guys got a lot of stuff on IMDb, which I
Yeah,
never heard of before. So that's
yeah.
why I
There's a
guess.
reason.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a reason you have not heard any of it.
yeah. I think I read that Heretic was something you actually had been working on even before Quiet Place. Was something you'd actually been throwing around and just kind of got back to, or
Yeah, well, we did actually start writing Heretic about 10 years ago, and we basically got to the scene where Reed sits down with the sister missionaries, and we stopped dead in our tracks because we realized that because Reed is has a genius level IQ and is an expert on all the world's religions, we realized we just literally couldn't write the character. We had to just learn more. We felt like we were at a deficit on our kind of religious history, so we started studying. And it wasn't a rigorous 10 years of studying, but it was a fun, enjoyable 10 years of reading, the Quran and exploring the Book of Mormon and reading interesting atheist thinkers like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens, and just making it a little easier to kind of get his monologues and his dialogue out and just be a little bit more fluent. So we wrote some other movies in between, and it was it was a blast to work on this project. It felt really more personal, and that was a big goal of ours, both as writers and directors. Casting, Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, who both were raised Mormon and were raised in the church. The goal was like, how can we make this movie personal for every single person who was involved with it?
and what about Hugh? I mean, did you think of him fairly early on from Mr. Reed? I mean, what was sort of like the pitch to him to do this?
So with Hugh, as soon as we had to go into the casting process, we were intimidated ourselves of who will fill the shoes of Mr. Reed, knowing he has to recite, ostensibly a stage play's worth of dialogue, has to come across as charming enough to welcome these two sister missionaries into the house and keep them there, as well as the audience, and lure the audience in, but also have this sense of danger and intellect. And as soon as we started figuring out those are the boxes we have to check, we started thinking about our experience with Hugh Grant over the last 12 years specifically, since we started seeing him in Cloud Atlas, and he evolved into playing darker, more character-centric roles, character actor roles in Guy Ritchie's films, even in Paddington 2, The Undoing with Nicole Kidman. And we were like, oh, this is a man that can approach this role with charm and wit, the intellect, and kind of that dark, dangerous edge. And as soon as we submitted the script to Hugh to consider, we were like, hell or high water. It has to be Hugh Grant. There's nobody else at this point that kind of captures all of those traits that we need for Mr. Reed. And after initial conversation with him, as he was, feeling us out, we were feeling him out. We started having email conversations, and pretty quickly convinced him, you need to be in this movie. And he had so much depth that he wanted to approach this role with, that we're like, this is the best character actor working today, and we happen to be the benefactors of that.
Was it hard to decide which actor should play which of the missionaries? Because I mean, they're very different personalities, the missionaries, but also, I mean, I can see a lot of actresses auditioning for both roles.
Yeah.
Totally, that's such a great question. And Sophie Thatcher, we definitely auditioned her for both Paxton and Barnes, and we had her, mix and match with a lot of different talented actresses. Chloe East was always a sister Paxton for us. Those two are they share a lot of things that make them one and the same. So I think Chloe for us, not only was she always only Sister Paxton, but when she first started auditioning, we kept asking our casting director, can you find more people like Chloe? Because she just embodied that kind of sweet, slightly naive sister missionary facade. And then she also embodied the surprising depth that you don't expect to come out of that character.
Yeah, religion can be so pointed and divisive. Was it tough to find like people to finance or distribute a movie like this? Were people nervous about the topic?
I mean, that was our fear when talking about religion. It can be a hot button, topic. And so our default, just as like coming up as scrappy indie filmmakers, was okay. If nobody wants to make this, we'll just go back to our home state of Iowa, raise some money, and just tell this story that way. But we felt very fortunate that our bullseye was always A24, and they read the script and they embraced every bit of the discourse that the script was discussing. They're a studio that is unafraid to tackle anything. We admire them for their bold swings, and so as soon as we found that marriage, they embraced it entirely.
And without studios like A24, like Neon, without them, these movies don't get made. They just don't. Like the major studios were interested in this film, but they were interested in this film without the philosophizing, without the religious discourse, and they were more attracted to the kind of cat and mouse elements of the film, which for us, it's like, why even make that movie? We've all seen that movie before. We wanted to do something different and special. And they, terrific studios like A24 make those movies come alive.
Was this all a response to the kind of big effects-driven movie you made before, like 65? Because it was so big, and this is more practical, one location.
Yeah, I mean, I on some
degree,
level,
yeah.
I mean, it's also a response like 65 and A Quiet Place, where the exercise was making a modern day silent film with no dialogue, and can you tell a story without the crutch of dialogue? This was an exercise in the exact opposite, which is can you create suspense and atmosphere and scares with only dialogue and only ideas and philosophical theories? Can a religious debate take the place of a jump scare, was the question we were asking ourselves.
I think it's also, the standpoint, kind of our standpoint on religion, but it's also with filmmaking, is that it's ever evolving, and if you remain in stasis, there's not a development there, and that's the exciting place for us to be in terms of like religion, and always being hungry to explore more about belief and disbelief, but certainly in filmmaking to not just be going into the same sandbox time and time again, but kind of breaking outside of those parameters.
Yeah, I might already know the answer to this, but did you guys originally want to direct A Quiet Place, and then you ended up just selling the script, and
Yeah, we did. We did want to direct it. That was our dream script, and I remember at the time, we were really young in our careers, and it was a great opportunity to have John Krasinski and Emily Blunt come onto that project and bring it to life. They're so talented. We could not think of better actors to play those roles. But I do remember at the time thinking like, oh no, that was the only good script like we're capable of writing. Like we'll never get to direct. It was a very scary thing not directing that movie because we saw we had such a clear vision for it.
would you guys want to direct if they ever did it? Like, would you ever pitch a spin-off and try to direct it, or have you guys moved on to other things now?
No. I think like our focus is, or our excitement rather, is always original film. Like, for us, as exciting as it is to see like the Quiet Place franchise like continue on, and the wonderful work done by John and Michael Sarnofsky in the recent chapter. For us personally, we love going into the unknown, and so all of the scripts that we have kind of on the forefront, those all kind of tap into that same instinct.
Listen, Heretic is a lot of fun, at least for me. I've had trouble deciding who to recommend it to or not, because I don't know.
Yeah.
So some of my friends will appreciate it more than others, and some I have no idea which is which at this point. So I just have to say go see it, and then good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Invite them all, and then let the debate begin, good or bad.
It's definitely a fun movie to see with the audience, with other people, though, for sure. So hopefully people see it that way. So thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. It's great meeting you finally, and good luck with the film.